First up, we're going to talk about Weapons. Weapons had an explosive debut over the weekend, snagging $70 million worldwide, coming in number one, easily recouping its $38 million budget. That's $43 million domestic and $28 million overseas. After one of the worst box office runs in history, which included the second Joker movie, Mickey 17, and Alto Nights, Warner Brothers has really come back to life, starting in April with the Minecraft movie. Then they followed it up with Sinners, Final Destination Bloodlines, F1 the movie, Superman, and now Weapons. Directed and written by Zach Cregger, a fast-rising horror auteur, Weapons is about 17 children from the same third-grade class who mysteriously vanish into the night, leaving just one classmate behind. A prominent advertising campaign featuring the numbers would lead you to believe they hold some sort of significance larger than the 17 kids missing or the 2:17 a.m. time they go missing, but those are really just minor details, not indicative of really any larger importance, which makes it a disappointment that they were featured so prominently in the promotional materials and then they don't actually matter very much within the movie. And so speaking of time, it's a movie that really tests the audience's time. Clocking in at just over 2 hours, it really only starts showing its hand about an hour and a half in, after rickrolling the audience not once, twice, or even 3 times, but 5 times before we start getting any type of resolution to the story. The movie is told in 5 or 6 chapters at around 15 minutes each, all focusing on one specific character. As we follow the rather pedestrian proceedings of the character's day, it's only right at the end of their chapter that we even start getting any clue to the larger children's disappearance mystery, at which point the movie promptly cuts to the start of another character's chapter, rinse and repeat that 5 times. Now, conventional wisdom is you start the story where the action begins, but this doesn't do that, which is fine if the unconventional works, but this movie is really kind of conflating convolution with characterization, waiting until it has exhausted all patience to finally start giving answers. Then the conclusion itself left me dissatisfied and disillusioned, just chalked up to magic, and most of the cursed kids continue on corrupted and catatonic. It really kind of feels like a prequel to a much better movie that everyone already loved. I'm sure Zach Cregger has a masterpiece in his future, but I don't really think Weapons is it, personally. It's not a bad movie at its core, it's just really ultimately a pretty familiar story told in an unconventional manner with admittedly great direction to make it just kind of seem more profound. And now naturally with its box office success, there's already talk of a prequel in the works, which is ironic because as mentioned, this already feels like a long setup for a much better movie already. So one has to wonder if Alden Ehrenreich would return given his previous experience in a prequel to a widely popular movie. Finally, as an aside, the larger conversation about the movie's intent also just shows how media literacy is really kind of dead. Arguments across the internet have confused their own beliefs with the actual story being told in the movie. Like popular explanations for the movie range from school shootings to right-wing indoctrination. The director himself, Zach Cregger, has said it's not really about any of those things, even though it does kind of allude to those, but just the absolute ego of people today have resulted in them saying he's wrong and they're right about what's really going on. But none of the metaphors people are claiming the film is, quote, really about actually hold up under any sort of comparison or scrutiny. In the disinformation age where everyone can choose their own reality, they don't understand when they're confusing their own subjective interpretation with the actual objective intent of the movie. Sure, you can interpret it as being about school shootings, but that's not, quote, really what it's about with regards to Cregger's intent. It's a slow burn and supernatural thriller, not some grand metaphor of our times. If anything, the metaphor of our times is people thinking they know better than the actual qualified authority on the matter.